Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how I made these 3" by 3" thank you cards that I'm going to include in orders that I received from my Etsy shop. I'm using watercolours to start with. These are my White Nights pastel colours, watercolours. I love these, they're gorgeous. I'm going to use the blue and the green. I've got a little swatch here that I've swatched out. I'm going to use the rose and I'm going to use Moon Glow. So it's a bit of a mixture there, but I think those colours will go quite well together. So what I'm going to do is I've already taped down a piece of watercolour paper. It's not expensive watercolour paper. I've got my square to find the compositions when I've done this. I'm going to use this paintbrush. I'm very fond of it. It's a number 12. It's a large one because it's a large sheet I'm covering here. And it seems to hold the paint quite well, although it is artificial, but it's beautifully done. Replicates normal hair quite well. I won't use animal fur in my artwork. So I'm just making a nice good puddle of this lovely green. Isn't that a gorgeous green? Love it. And I'm going to make a puddle of the blue. And the idea is that I can work quite quickly once I've got the puddles ready, because I want to encourage the colours to flow together. And I'm going to make a puddle of the blue. That's a beautiful blue as well. These colours are lovely and icy, aren't they? They make me think of winter. Gorgeous. So a good puddle of both of those colours. They take a bit more working, although they're not too bad actually. And now I'm going to wet the Opera Rose and I'm going to wet the Moon Glow. Just they're ready for when I'm going to apply them to the paper. I'm just going to add a bit more green to that. Right, and now I'm just going to do a series of square shapes I think I'm going to go for. Now I'm going to add a bit more of the blue and I'm going to encourage the colours to run together. These pastels are more like gouache than watercolour, so they don't quite bleed into each other the same way that watercolour does, but I shall do some encouraging. And I'm going to make another square at the top here. And now I'm going to bring in the Opera Rose. It's a bit pale at the moment, but I can add some more colour in later. I'm going to encourage those colours to run together as well. Beautiful. My favourite colour. And now I'm adding some Moon Glow down to the bottom of that. I'm going to let those two colours run together as well. Moon Glow is beautiful. Both Opera Rose and Moon Glow are quite fugitive, so I can't use them in a professional painting that I was hoping to sell, but I can use them in things like this. I'm adding some more blue there to encourage it to blend in with the Moon Glow there. The pastel colours also dry very quickly. They do feel more like gouache to me. I'm going to put some of the Opera Rose up at the top there. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, my favourite colour. Did I say that? I think I've said that about 3 times now. But it is. I love it. And now I'm going to encourage these two colours to flow together a little bit more. And I'm going to re-wet the green area there, because I want to encourage that to flow with some Opera Rose I'm adding into the right there. Yes, the green, the pastel colours really do react differently to something like the Opera Rose that is pure watercolour. There's clearly some white in with the pastel colours. re-wetting this green area, encouraging the opera rose to bleed into that area as well. Now I'll let the colours do their own thing, and now they're nice and dry. As you can see, they've gone a little bit paler. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some lifting. So with a baby wipe and a stencil, I can lift some areas. Not all colours work very well. Some of the more staining colours, this won't work. But I think these colours aren't too staining, so it works quite well. And it gives me some interesting shapes. And then I've done a little bit of sponging through some watercolour, Moon Glow, through this stencil. It's a little bit messy, but that's okay. A lot of it gets covered over anyway. I've got this stencil. This is one of my old ones that I cut myself before I got my silhouette cutting machine. And I'm just going to put some black through. I was inspired to do this by, have you seen Suzanne Rose on YouTube? She did something like this for some ATCs. She had watercolour she didn't like, which I thought was quite good, but never mind. And then she went over it with black, but she didn't do it through a stencil. She just did it freehand. I'm doing it through a stencil because it's easier. And I'm drying the stencil at the same time because I'm flipping it, so that, I don't know, I just fancied doing that. And now I'm going over with more of a purple mix, and I'm going over at a different angle this time, just to create more dark areas. And now I've cut out some 3-inch squares, and I'm just going in and adding some marks now, just for fun. This is my Rigger paintbrush, and it's great for drawing lines. So I'm going over and I'm just drawing some interesting lines. This is something that Suzanne Rose also does a lot. So she has influenced me with these. I'll put a link to her video where she does this on ATCs, so you'll see what I mean. Just tidying that area up a bit. Oh, that's nice, I like that. This is quite meditative. I've quite enjoyed doing this. Yes, it'll be nice to have some proper dedicated cards to send out to people who order from me. Usually I have some odds and ends left over from when I've cut up masterboards and things like that, and I usually use those. But lately I've run out of those, and I've just been relying on my thank you for your order stickers. Well, that's not enough. I want to have something a bit more personal when I send something out to somebody. I enjoyed those. Right, now I'm going to come in with some white Posca pen, I think. But I like them so far. Here we are with a bit of Posca pen. So I'm just doing some dots. Following the lines. Again, Suzanne Rose did this in some of hers, but she did it in more dedicated areas. I'm just doing it as lines. Well, this one I decided to draw some leaves, but it didn't stand out very well, so I do change that a lot later on. So it really isn't very clear, is it? But no worries, I solved that problem later. So here's what I've done. I've done some lines, I've done some dots, and more dots. And so now I'm putting the thank you on. I've made myself a stencil. It isn't available in my shop because it's a bit fiddly to make. It takes up too much time to actually get the little bits out. But if you want me to put it in the shop, let me know. So there. Now that says thank you. I've got two different thank yous. I I end up preferring this more script thank you. Yes, do let me know if you do want it in the shop. I can always put it in. And the white seems to stand out quite well against the rest of the colours I have on there. When I made this stencil, I also added some other words which I'll be able to use in art journal pages as well. This one I'm going to do along the side. And I'm just using white acrylic for this. Well, I forgot to say that I used black acrylic for the stenciling. And now I've got my lovely Schmincke palette, and I'm going to use this lovely pearly pink, because it goes with the pink I've already got down the Opera Rose. And I'm going to draw some leaf shapes. And so that will have a bit of a nice iridescent sheen to it as well. Very simple to do, but very effective. And I've decided 2 is an odd number. I'm going to do a third. No, 2 is an even number, and I prefer an odd number. And the pearl covers up the colours that are there quite well. I love that pink against that green. It's beautiful. Beautiful colour combination. So I continue with the pink ones. But now I'm adding some green, this lovely pearlescent green. Look at that, it's gorgeous. Beautiful colour. And I'm going to use that on one of the cards that is more pink, so it's a nice contrast. And again, drawing 3 leaves on. This was difficult. I wanted this to go sort of behind the writing. I think that works. I love that one. I think this one's my favourite. And I'll go back to the pink again. I shall carry on until I've finished these leaves. And now back to the one where I'd done the white leaves. In fact, I'd already gone over with white acrylic to cover them up. But now I'm going over with the pearl pink. And I think that looks a lot better in the end. Now I've decided to do a little bit of the pearl on the edges. And so this one I'm doing the green. And all I do is brush it along the edge so a little bit remains on the surface. I quite like doing that. It's actually better to do that with acrylic paint or something thicker so that it actually is slightly proud of the paper. But I only have this in the pearlescence. I don't have any acrylic pearlescence, I don't think. Although I do have medium, but anyway. I wanted to do the whole thing in the same colours that I've used on the cards. And this one I've added pink to the edges. I think that's really pretty. I love that. And here we are zoomed in on them so I can show you what they look like. Oh, you can see the flash of the iridescent medium. Beautiful. I much prefer that with the colour on rather than the white on the leaves. This one is my favourite. I just love this one. Oh, I missed one out. There's this one too. Love it. And this is my favourite. I'm very happy with these. I'm going to go away and make some more now. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing and for leaving a comment and pressing the like button. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.